Hello, my name is Carter Matson, and my presentation is on video games don't cause violence. Video games are an important part of many people's lives. In recent years, video games have been blamed for the violent actions of others. However, there is a lot of evidence that proves that video games are not the reason and therefore shouldn't be blamed. The people who play video games the most are teen boys and young men. There are millions of video games with so much variety. Not all of them are kid friendly, and ever since these games started to come into the homes of families, parents and scientists were concerned about these games harming the consumers. Over 65% of adults regularly play video games. The most popular type of game is casual. A casual game is a game you can play in short spurts, like on your lunch break or for just a few minutes before bed. These games have very little violence because they have to be easy to play and not take lots of time. Typically, violent games will require that you spend 30 minutes to an hour or more to advance in the game. Because there was a question, someone had to find answers. Lots of people decided to take it upon themselves to find the answer. The answers were everywhere. Everyone had an opinion, but people were still unsure if video games caused violence or not. Studies kept going. There had to be an answer, right? Scientists had kept working to find the definitive answer as to whether video games cause violence. While that answer hasn't come yet, we still have lots of evidence that points to both sides. The main reason as to why the answers are different for each study is because everyone is different. Every single person acts, looks, and thinks differently than others. Video games are going to affect you differently than they would to me. While mass shooters may say that video games convinced them to do the terrible things they did, that is not usually the real reason. Oftentimes, the shooter has a mental illness, is addicted to drugs, or was abused. Video games aren't what made them do that. When people think of gamers, sometimes they think of people who play video games all day, maybe live in their parents' basement, haven't seen the sun in a while, and aren't very social. While it sometimes is true, it usually isn't. It's very rare that you find someone like that. Gamers are very social, especially those who play online multiplayer games. Besides, gamers also have to have jobs and have regular lives. They don't usually spend all day playing games. Playing video games can make you very social. Most games have an online multiplayer option where you can interact with other players and even talk via in-game chat or chat room. You will also have to cooperate with other players or battle to see who is the very best, like no one ever was. Many scientists agree that video games don't cause violence, but they can raise aggression. Aggression is not the same as violence. Aggression is hostile behavior or attitudes towards another person. While aggression isn't good, video games don't always cause aggression. Video games could make people aggressive, but they can also have the opposite effect. Video games can make players calm and relaxed. There are many other factors that influence the aggression level of the player. Many of them lower their aggression. Let's take a look at a few of them. Playing a violent online game doesn't make you more aggressive than if you were playing a neutral online game. In a specific study, the four groups were playing either a violent game or a neutral game, online or offline. The violent game players didn't act more aggressively, and the playing online didn't affect their aggression. Motion controls are another variation. When people played with motion controls, they were usually less aggressive compared to those who didn't use motion controls. Since motion controls are much more difficult to use, any aggression that may have came from playing the game would have been burnt up playing the game. It has been my experience that motion controls make the game a lot more difficult to play, therefore providing a sweeter victory. During the rise of video games' popularity, youth violence has gone down. In 2018, youth violence is the lowest it's been. For every 100,000 kids ages 10 to 17, only 2,167 were arrested for criminal activity. Three of those 2,000 were murders. Crime still exists, but video games aren't encouraging it. Some violent video games are Since violent video games are constantly looked at as bad, it may be surprising to hear that video games can provide you with worthwhile moral conundrums. When things go wrong, the player feels responsible for the mistake. These games allow you to experience things that would be impossible otherwise. Many games present us with a dehumanized enemy that just needs to be stopped. Does this mean the players are desensitized? Not at all. Playing games can connect you with people or characters and let you build strong relationships. When you are given a reason to care, then you want to help them. We will still feel the effects of violence. Many people have taken the issue of video games to the government, where there have been many occasions where someone tried to pass a law to regulate video game access. In the end, it didn't work. The reason was youth access can't be curtailed. If we were to prevent youth from buying games of whatever kind they wanted, we would be taking away some of their freedom. Video games are an art form. People can express how they feel with video games. In 2019, a young boy made a game to help his dad cope with depression, which is pretty cool that the boy was able to do that. These games have benefits that can help others become better. The developers spend years making games, some to express their feelings and others just to make money. Not every game is a masterpiece, but they all are beautiful in their own way. We can't let people ruin a beloved part of our lives. Video games have so much good to offer. We just have to be willing to see it. Video games are not the cause of violence in our society today.